Sounds good.
Got the recording going. So yeah, let's kick off. So quick introduction. Reese Kerrigan here from getKambium. I'm joined by my colleagues Michael and Ian. And today's this webinar is going to be about using the getKambium portal to deliver questionnaires that work for you. So by working for you, I mean that you're going to have better conversations with your customers and your potential customers, and that's going to enable you to cross-sell and upsell. So very short presentation to begin with to, I guess, set the scene, have a bit of background about the getKambium portal and the getKambium process, and then we're going to jump into a demo and show you some of the relatively new features of the getKambium portal that allow you to use our content hub to really streamline this process and get you up and running and having those great conversations with your clients really quickly. So, as a bit of background, in the getKambium portal, we have what we call a discover review process. And as the name suggests, this is where you are discovering information and opportunities from your client. And the process that you go through, if you haven't done one of our discover reviews, is pretty straightforward. And the first step is you sit down with your client and you ask them a bunch of questions. And those questions are bundled up in what we call a questionnaire. Having had that interview and asked those questions, you write recommendations that suggest improvements. You summarize those recommendations, which spits out a nice shiny report that you deliver to the customer, and then you can publish those outcomes either in ConnectWise or back into the getKambium portal. So that's the process, and today we're going to focus on that very first step, which is around asking the questions and making sure, how can you be when you're in front of the client, how can you make sure that you're asking the best questions possible and making the most use of that time, because as we know, these days everyone's busy, everyone's time is valuable, and so you want to make sure that you're asking great questions that develop trust with the client. So how do you do that, and how does the getKambium portal help? The review process has some major outcomes and success measures. The way you use the getKambium portal and by using great questionnaires, the results that you can get is that hopefully the customer is telling you what they want rather than us going to them going, hey, you should be doing this. You want to generate a discussion that allows them to let you know what their business problems and their business priorities are. You're also hopefully talking to them about things they don't already have. Historically, MSPs have been really good at talking to their customers about all the stuff that the customer already has, their assets and their licenses and all of the things that they're already got, but we were not particularly good in the past about talking to them about other things that are happening in the IT industry and their industry and technology that might be able to help them. So hopefully this discovery review process allows you to talk to them about things you've perhaps never spoken to them in the past about. And if it's a potential client, it's also hopefully a chance for you to talk to the customer about things their current MSP have not been talking to them about. One of the other things that hopefully will happen is that you're raising topics that are already on the customer's mind. You're asking them about, do you have an AI policy, for example, and they'll go, well, we know we don't, and actually I've been concerned about that. So as soon as you can get that synergy where you're asking relevant questions and they're going, oh, funny, I was just talking about that, you're really going to get that engagement from their perspective. And last of all, you're identifying opportunities that will add value to the customer. So you're identifying opportunities that will be a win-win for both of you. They really want to get it done and you really want to deliver it. So what is the key to a good meeting with a client? If you broke it all down, how can you deliver a great interview or a great meeting, a great discussion with your customer. For me, it's pretty simple. The key to a great meeting is asking great questions. Asking insightful questions is a really, really good way for you to become trusted and credible with that person that you're talking to. You don't have to have the answers, you just need to be asking great questions. Of course, to do this, you also need to have the right people in the room. You want to be asking great questions and becoming trusted and credible to the right people, to the decision makers or the influencers. And also, it's not enough just to ask great questions. You also need to be a good listener. You need to listen to their responses and then customize your questions, perhaps based on those responses. But the real key to a great meeting is asking great questions, generating that discussion and proving your knowledge and developing that trust and credibility. So that's where getKambium comes in. Our questionnaires and our review process enable you to ask those good questions. We provide the content for you to trigger those conversations. And we also provide the platform that allows your teams to be asking those great questions consistently. So today, we're going to do a demo of how you can use the questionnaires and those questions in the getKambium portal to have those great meetings and get those opportunities. So I'm going to swap over to the getKambium portal. Hopefully you can see my screen now. So we're going to start by, which hopefully explains the process, by clicking on reviews. This is a test tenancy, it doesn't have a lot of data. We've done one review for a client. We're going to click on new review. Now, when you start a review, it asks you three pretty basic pieces of information. What do you want to call it? So let's say this is a sales review. What client do you want to do it with? In this case, our test edit's only got the one client, so we'll choose them. And the key to the last thing is, what type of review do you want to do? So this is where you're going to select the different types of review. Now you can see for these guys, they've only got two types to choose from. One is this business technology review, which it tells me there's 144 questions and takes a long time to complete. Maybe that's not exactly what I want to do. And the other one is an IT strategy workshop, which has 25 questions and understands the application of IT to achieving business goals. And so maybe that's what I want to do. When you're selecting these different reviews, it does a couple of things. The first thing is it changes the questionnaire, it changes the questions you're going to be asking, changes the number of questions, and it also might change completely the type of questions you're going to ask. The second thing it does as well is selects a different template for the report. So you might have, for one of these reviews, a completely different Word template that comes out at the end of the process, might have specific content in it. So choosing the type of review is really the key to having a successful review and making sure it's fit for purpose. So these guys only have two. And what we can do is we're going to go into the back-end settings and show you where you can find that. So if we click on settings and then we go discover, you get a bunch of options here where you can customize questions, you can customize recommendations, and you can customize the current state questions. But we're going to look at this one that says build questionnaires. And now in here, as we expected, there's only two questionnaires to choose from, the business technology review and the IT strategy workshop. Now these guys might be thinking, well, that's all very well, but neither of those are really what I want to talk to this particular client about. How do I add more questionnaires? And that's where the Content Hub comes in. You could write your own questionnaire. You can create questionnaires and add your own questions manually, and that's great, but that might take you a bit of time. We've done the work for you, so you can come in here to the Content Hub on the left, which is a relatively new feature for us. And you can see in here, you've got questionnaires and questions. So these are questionnaires that getKambium have published for you to use. And we will continue to publish new questionnaires and new questions as time goes on and things change and we see that new content is needed. So let's go into the list of questionnaires. So here is the list of questionnaires that I can choose to use as an MSP that's published by getKambium. And you can see there's a relatively long list. We've got the IT strategy workshop, which sounds like the one we've already got. We've got a sales discovery here, which just has 11 questions in it. Now that sounds kind of interesting to me because that could be a lot shorter and punchier. I kind of like the sound of that. We've got a cybersecurity review, which is around measuring risk profile. We've got an AI readiness review, which again is really topical at the moment. Lots of talk and buzz around AI, but also lots of fear and where do we start? So an AI readiness review sounds really interesting to me as well. We've got that business technology review, which is 144 questions. And then we've got a getKambium review 1, 2, and 3. Now this is where we've actually taken topics and split them into smaller reviews. And the way we've seen this succeed is that we do one of these reviews every time we're doing a QBR. So when we do a QBR, we deliver a report, we talk about what's happening, and then we ask them questions on different topics every time. So the first one might be about IT governance and strategy. How are your policies and processes? And the next one, 3 months later, might be around risk protection and resilience, cybersecurity risks, disaster recovery. And then the one after that might be around productivity, business processes, all those sorts of things. So again, you can take these and you can use them yourself. We've got a number of reviews around Essential 8. And in fact, we've got ones that have just been updated using the update from November 2023 content. We've got a NIST framework security review. Again, these are all more audity questions, but you can choose to use those as well. So today, let's add the AI readiness review. So what I can do is I can click on it. When I click on it, it shows me what questions it's going to ask. So I can go, oh yeah, that looks interesting to me. And then I can click on this copy button and it says it's going to add this questionnaire and all the questions and all the recommendations for those questions into your tenancy. So I'll go, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Questionnaire copied. So now when I go into settings, discover, questionnaires, you can see that this AI business review is there and it's got a bunch of questions in it. Now I could come in here and I could edit it. I could go, well, I mean, that's a great starting point, but I want to change the order maybe. I can drag the questions around, which changes the order in the review, and I could save that. Or maybe I don't want to talk about redundant questions, redundant data, rot. So I could delete that question, or I want to change it because it gives me all of the information there. I could come and customize this review if I want to, or I could just run with it as it is out of the box. Each of the questionnaires comes with all of the question content, and it also comes with the recommendations as well. So at the end of the process, it'll write default recommendations for you as well that you can change. So what this means is now when I come into reviews and I go new review and I put a title and I choose my client, I can now choose this AI readiness review. Tells me there's 12 questions, gives me a bit of a blurb on what it's about. And when I click create and I go to the interview screen, I get those 12 questions that's around AI. So that's a really simple, quick way for you to get up and running with customized reviews and questionnaires that allow you and your teams to tailor the content and the questions that you're asking your clients which will hopefully allow you to have those great discussions, identify opportunities that are going to add value to them, and allow that cross-sell and upsell. So that was really the whole demonstration. It is that easy. The content there is written for you. Come into the Content Hub, look at the questionnaires, see if anything there is going to be useful for you. Like the sales discovery one looks pretty interesting because it's 11 questions. I could get my sales guys to start going out there and using that every time they're meeting a client, and it will generate discussion to generate new opportunities, and then I can record that back in the getKambium portal or publish it to ConnectWise. So that was the end of the demo from my point of view. Michael and Ian, was there anything that I'd forgotten?
I'd just like to point out, if you jump back a second into the Content Hub, you can copy the individual questions as well. So even if you don't want to bring in a whole questionnaire, or you just want to search for a particular topic, you can just come in here and find individual questions and their recommendations, and you can copy what you want. So that functionality exists there as well.
Yeah.
I will put a little softball question up for you to knock down, Reese. What goes into making a great question? There's obviously the question you ask the client themselves, but what else do we put into these questions to help our partners?
Yeah, so good. Well, that is a softball question. Thank you, Michael. Every question has the question, data privacy policy. Are you comfortable you know how your business stores personal data? We also try to include the business problem. So why are we asking this question? Like I said before, the key to a great meeting is asking good questions, but making sure you've got the right people in the room. You're talking to a CEO or a CXO. You need to relate the question you're asking back to their business. Why should they care? They don't care about MFA, they don't care about encryption or all those sorts of things. They care about what's the impact to their business. So we include the business problem. Often we try to include really real world examples on why we're asking that question. And that's where you can come in as well, learn the questions and have a story ready. When I'm delivering these reviews, the thing that really resonates with people is when you can say, oh, we had this other customer, or we heard of this other company and this happened. And because of that, this happened, and really relating it back to stories that you can tell. Will help it resonate with the audience, and then you'll generate the discussion and you'll uncover opportunities, and they'll hopefully really understand why this is important, and you'll be able to move forward.
So yeah, a lot goes into putting a question together, and so getKambium really does the heavy lifting for you there, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And the other important piece of this as well is that for every question that you ask, we've also written the recommendation. So for this privacy one, we've got a recommendation here. So if the customer says, well, we haven't updated our privacy policy for years, or we don't have an internal privacy policy, or we don't have a public privacy policy, then you're going to want to recommend that. So, and you want to capture that as a recommendation. We've done the heavy lifting for you. We've written recommendation text. It might not be perfect for your client in that situation, but it's a starting point. It's much easier for you to edit this and tweak it much quicker than having to start with a blank page. So all of these questions also come with the recommendation text, so that when you're going through the review process, the recommendations will write themselves. You just need to check them and tweak them and go from there.
Very cool.
And yeah, the other cool thing that I really like about this is once you've copied that content from the Content Hub into your tenant, you can do what you like with them. You can edit them. You could add new questions, add your own questions, relate it back to your products. You can customize the hell out of it if you really want to. So you don't have to. It's a lot of these are great starting points and you can just run with them, but you've got the opportunity now to edit each of these and really make them your own, or merge two reviews together, perhaps. Who knows? So you can really customize them once you've got them, but out of the box, it just works as well. Perfect.
Fantastic.
So, question from Ian: will the Content Hub help cross-sell and upsell to existing clients? Yeah, absolutely. So the whole purpose of these questionnaires is to get great content in front of your clients, and generate new conversations, which allows you to upsell and cross-sell. And question from Rick. Hi, Rick. If the questions in the Content Hub are updated, will this update the questionnaires in the tenancy? No, it won't. Good question. Really good question. So the as I said, once you've copied a questionnaire, so the questionnaires in the Content Hub are provided by us, written by us, and using all our language, and then you copy them into your tenant, and then once they're in your tenant, you can customize them. So what that means is if we update a questionnaire, it won't copy to your tenant because you'll lose all your customizations if we did that. So it is a bit of a balancing act from our point of view. We want to be able to publish new information for you to use, but we also want you to allow you to customize it, and you don't want to lose those customizations by us pushing changes on top of you. So new content, so you can see, for example, for the Essential 8 content, which we'd written back in whenever it was, 2021, we actually published them all again. There was actually quite a few changes. They were quite different. You can see the question count from level 1 went from 32 to 46 or something like that. We published them as new questionnaires that you can copy in yourselves. So it means if you had made any customizations to the old ones, then you won't lose that. And like I say, this is a relatively new feature for us. So yeah, you can hopefully expect to see some more development in this space. One of the things we were talking about was having a way for you to identify what new content is in the questionnaires. Obviously, it's all new right now, but as we add stuff, maybe having a new icon or some sort of way for you to see what new content has appeared. Excellent. Okay, well that was, if there's no more questions, that was how easy it is to use the Content Hub, customize your questionnaires, and have great conversations with your customers. Thanks all for joining.
Thank you, Reese.
See you later.